Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable our lecturer, Mr. Karman Espedemhum, and all of our friends and viewers, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to our group. We are from the first group. We'll present our material about mastering the concept of universal grammar. I'm the first speaker, and I will present my material about the definition about universal grammar and why we should learn about it. There are 3 points of the definition of universal grammar. The first is the general definition. Universal grammar is theoretical or hypothetical system of categories, operation, and principles shared by all human languages and considered to be innate. Universal grammar also usually defined as the system of categories, mechanism, and constraint shared by all human languages and considered to be innate. Since 1980s, the term has often been capitalized. This term is also known as universal grammar theory. The second definition comes from the linguist Noam Chomsky. He explains that universal grammar is considered to be the collection of properties, conditions, or whatever constitutes the initial states of the language learner. The basic upon which language knowledge develops. This concept is connect with the ability of children to be able to learn their mother tongue. And Stephen Pinker said that in decoding language, children's mind should be limited to choosing the right kind of generalization from the speech around them. It is the line of reasoning that Noam Chomsky to propose that language acquisition in children is the key to understanding the nature of language, and that children should be equipped with a built-in universal grammar. And the third definition comes from Michael Tomasello. He writes, generative grammarians believe that the human species evolve a universal grammar that universal to all people, and that variability in modern language is essentially only superficial. My second material is about why universal grammar, why we should learn about universal grammar. Yeah, universal grammar is important because universal grammar is gaining importance through how the rapid technological advance that make finding a unified theory of language structure plausible. It is gaining importance because why? Because decoding universal grammar can contribute to understanding the organic biological nature of cognitive thought. And that's all from me. Next material will be delivered by my friend Windy Sastila. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Mrs. Dila and my material is about composition of universal grammar. Okay, universal grammar consists of a set of atomic grammatical categories and relations that are the building blocks of the particular grammars of a human's language, over which syntaxis, structure, and contents on the structure are defined. Mungkin saya akan sedikit menjelaskan tentang apa itu tata bahasa universal. Tata bahasa universal adalah sistem kategori, operasi, dan prinsip teoritis atau hipotesis yang dimiliki oleh semua bahasa manusia yang ada di dunia dan dianggap sebagai bawaan sejak lahir. Ahli bahasa yaitu Noam Chomsky menjelaskan bahwa tata bahasa universal dianggap sebagai himpunan properti, kondisi, ataupun yang membentuk keadaan awal pelajar bahasa. Oleh karena itu menjadi dasar di mana pengetahuan bahasa berkembang. In decoding the language of child, children should be limited to choosing the right kind of generalization from the talk around them. It is line of reasoning that Noam Chomsky to false that language as question in children is the key to understanding the nature of language, and that children should be equipped with an innate universal grammar. Is a plan for the grammatical grammatical that drives all human language. Universal grammar is not the same as universal language, say Elena, or with the depth structure of language, or even with grammar itself. As Chomsky observed, universal grammar is grammar, but rather a theory of grammar, sort of like that. Meta theory or schema for grammar. The concept of universal grammar has a time to examine 13th century and said that all languages are built on the same grammar. This expression was popularized in the 1915 and 1916 by Chomsky and other linguists. Components that are considered universal include the notion that words can be classified into different groups, such as noun or verbs, and then that sentence but follow certain structures. Sentence structure may differ between language. Each language has some kind of framework but can be understood by each other. The language rule credit words or idioms of a particular language according to universal grammatical definition. Okay, maybe that's all from me, and I'm back to moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thanks for the chance that has been given. On this occasion, I will present my material is about universal grammar and first language acquisition. Okay, let's move to the material about universal grammar. Well, for the first, we have to know what the definition of universal grammar. A universal grammar is a theoretical or hypothetical system of categories, operations, and principles shared by all human languages and considered to be innate. Since the 1980s, the term has often been capitalized. This term is also known as universal grammar theory. According to linguist Noam Chomsky explains, the universal grammar is considered to be the collection of properties, conditions, or whatever constitutes the initial state of the language learner, hence the basis on which language knowledge develops. And the second definition, according to Michel Tomasello, also said that this concept is connected with the ability of children to be able to learn their mother tongue. Generative grammarians believe that the human species involves a universal grammar that is universal to all people, and that the variability in modern languages is essentially only superficial. And the last expert opinion is Stephen Pinker elaborates as follows: in decoding language, children's minds should be limited to choosing the right kind of generalization from the speech around them. It is this line of reasoning that led Noam Chomsky to propose that language acquisition in children is the key to understanding the nature of language, and that children should be equipped with built-in universal grammar. Okay, that's all my material. The next material will be continued by my partner, Miss Icha Sulistianti.
Okay, thanks for the chance that has been given to me. So in this occasion, I will continue the material is about first language acquisition. First language acquisition refers to the way children learn their native language. Second language acquisition refers to the learning of another language or language beside the native language. For children, learning their native language, linguistic competence develops in stage from babbling to one word or two words. Then telegraphic speech, babbling is now considered the earliest form of language. Acquisition before infants will produce sounds based on one language input they receive. One-word sentence, or we call horoplastic speech, are generally monosyllabic in consonant-vowel clusters. During two-word stage, there are no syntactic or morphological markers, no inflection for plural or past tense, and pronouns are rare. But the intonation contour extends over the whole utterance. The three theories of language acquisition, the first is imitation. Reinforcement and analogy do not explain very well how children acquire language. Imitation doesn't work because children produce sentences never heard before, such as cats stand up table. Even when they try to imitate adult speech, children cannot generate the same sentence because of their limited grammar. And children who are unable to speak still learn and understand the language. So that when they overcome their speech impairment, they immediately begin speaking the language. Reinforcement also doesn't work because it actually suddenly occurs, and when it does, the reinforcement is correcting pronunciation or thoughtfulness and not grammar. A sentence such as apples are purple will be correct more often because it is not true. As compared to a sentence such as apples is red, regardless of the grammar, analogy also cannot explain language acquisition. Analogy involves the formation of sentence or phrase by using other sentence as samples. If a child heard the sentence, I paint a red barn, he can say by analogy, I paint a blue barn. Yet if he hears the sentence, I paint a barn red, he cannot say I saw a barn red. The analogy doesn't not work this time, and this is a sentence of English. Okay, that's all from my material. Thanks. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, as for the relationship between universal grammar and first language acquisition, if we study language, of course, in that language it contains a rule or what we call universal grammar. If we study language, then we also learn grammar.
In this case, universal grammar emphasizes the existence of structure found in all Indonesian language. And the principle of universal grammar can be explained for the morphological diversity of language on Earth. In learning a language, especially a first language, of course, it is very important to know grammar or language rules, such as good way to make a question for other grammar. In this case, grammar and first language are an inseparable unity. Okay, that's all our material, and thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.